Kingdom OutKasts Podcast is a platform for us to simply express our thoughts, opinions, and experiences concerning our faith and events around the world. We're here for your entertainment, encouragement, and edification of the body. We're humans like yourself and are not the final authority of views expressed. Only the Most High Yah is. Feel free to agree, disagree, edify, question, and comment however you're led to in the comments. We are many members of one body under Messiah and look forward to communing as a family with mutual respect. Shalom and enjoy the pod. Kingdom OutKasts.
Welcome to the Kingdom OutKasts Podcast. Today is episode 12. We're super excited to be here. I'm your host, Deja.
Eliyahu.
Mashak. Brandon. Mashak.
What up, people?
Welcome back.
Good to be here. Look, we already know difference in quality back to our regular schedules, but hey, look, you know what I mean? We tested some things out.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to
110 Media.
110 Media Productions, our boy Lee.
Yes.
Just giving us a taste of what that high quality podcast feel looks like. So do know that we're going to have some changes coming soon as we continue to develop.
Yep.
And as you guys continue to support us. Comment, like, subscribe, and share.
All that. But listen, we still gonna bring the energy. Same great topics, same great conversation. Just the mic isn't as good.
I just want y'all to recognize none of our intro is scripted, so realize how good we are, how good we're getting at this.
Super talented.
We're getting kind of
Talented
nice, you know
bunch.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really thought Elijah had more of that kind of sound scripted way down pat, but I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Now I'm learning how to project. Projecting. Hey everyone, hi everyone. So glad to be here.
Yeah.
Look at the growth.
It's growth.
Look at the growth.
I'm joking.
So how was y'all's week? What you been up to?
What have I been up to this week? Just ratchetness. Strictly ratchetness.
Yeah.
Ratchetness at work, outside of work. I've been grinding, but still grinding, like ratchetly too. I went out with Deja. We went out.
Got ratchet.
Got pretty ratchet. It was a good time. It was a fun time. Shout out to Thursday nights in Atlanta.
Thursday nights are a great day to get active because it's like, you gotta go to work tomorrow. You're not gonna like do anything crazy. You don't even have to be out late. Just a little post dinner. It's almost like an extended happy hour.
Yeah, it was extended, and
Head in bed by 1 a.m.
I'm usually in bed by like 10.
Yeah.
So it's messed up my sleep schedule, but it's okay. This week I kind of did fall off with working out, so I feel kind of like bloated, but
You were eating McDonald's.
No, I wasn't eating McDonald's. I was just I wasn't eating healthy. I'm sorry, I was eating healthy, but I just wasn't working out, so I just felt kind of like, I don't know, old. Yeah, old. That's the right way to say it, right, guys?
Yeah.
I don't know how you can feel old at
whatever,
25,
yeah.
but
Actually, I'm about to be 26.
I'm sure that there's a way
I'm a
to
new
feel
year
old.
older.
He's at that prime, man. Look at him, man. Prime.
Young bull.
Look at him, man. That's prime, man.
Yeah.
Wait till he gets old and grumpy like me. I'm joking.
Won't that be the day?
I don't think
I'm
I'll
definitely
be
not
grumpy.
old and I'm definitely not grumpy.
No, Brandon is full of life.
No, you're not that grumpy. I'm even, more
Listen,
grumpier.
when y'all look at Brandon's Instagram, y'all gonna see this man
Cover your
deadlifting.
eyes.
Cover your eyes if your flesh is weak.
For one, I don't even post like mad shirtless stuff and call it marketing anymore like that. Like I've been having clothes on.
Yeah.
And it is because I'm a little more fat around these days, but
Listen, you're still moving a lot of weight. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah,
you're deadlifting crazy.
I have a tank top on, but I definitely don't attract that energy that I used to get in the inbox from the comments no more.
That's good.
Please let that not happen so I don't have to hear or live about it.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. Next conversation, but yeah. So overall, my week was good. I got back into reading, and actually finished this book called Pushing Up People, just like a leadership type of book. And my next book I'm reading is about crypto. So I'm about to get back into the bag with crypto.
All very serious business readings.
Yeah, and I also bought 2 of Dante Fortes's books. One about pre-slavery Christianity, and the other one about Who's Hiding the Hebrews or something like that. I think it's called. I'm excited to read those. So I got some people who've been challenging my where the people believe. So now I'm like, oh,
that zeal is about to come out.
Yeah. I can't just be using Deuteronomy 28.
It's time to get more.
Yeah, it's time. I need some more ammunition. So
I hear that.
Yeah. How's your guys' week's been?
My week has been. It felt really hectic. We were in quarter close at work, so I felt like I was literally grinding everything out until literally Friday at 6 p.m. trying to get. It moves.
Oh, okay. Still here, guys.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, like just trying to get forecasts out to our department heads, like literally clicking send at 6 p.m. on Friday because it was like working crazy hours. Like this is something that had to get done before the start of next week. So once I did all finally completed all that was needed and all my responsibilities for the week, I felt very accomplished. But I was kind of mentally drained. I got to celebrate a birthday, one of my good girlfriends, and I watched an interesting interview. It was 2.5 hours long, and it was Andrew Tate being interviewed by Tucker Carlson. And I don't think I knew who Andrew Tate even really was. I just knew that he was like very controversial podcast host. Like, I don't know what I thought his ideologies were about or any of that, but I found the interview to be like quite eye-opening and even intriguing. So do y'all know who Andrew Tate is?
Yeah, I know who this guy is.
Is he like a total chum? Like what's
not a chum. I don't know. My perspective on him's changed a little bit. Like I was into him like last year when he got big and everything, and
so you like him? Like you like?
No, I don't say like I like him. I respect that he's talking out about men being men type stuff and getting like grinding and stuff, but I've started to come to understand. I think that he's controlled opposition.
I'll say that about everybody.
Bingo.
I think he's controlled opposition,
trying
to divide us.
Romanian jail. Like I don't think that he's on their side. I think he's not on their side. They're not on his side. The elites do not like him.
It's all chess.
I definitely think he's controlled opposition. Like here's the thing. Like
his thing is like telling men to like step into their masculinity. Like I don't know.
And I get it. That's against the feminism role that seems to be pushed on the society, but it's no different from Republican Democrat. Like Republicans push an extreme different type of life or lifestyle values than liberal or Democrats do. You know what I mean? Like it's really the thing is why he's controlled opposition is there's some good values that he's pushing, but I haven't watched a video where he talked about religion, but I do know like he doesn't really. He definitely pushed concepts that are anti-biblical as well. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, how you convey a message and the spirit that you convey it is important too. So he's definitely still controlled opposition. He does the same symbolisms. I mean, he had the whole jail situation, but he got out of it, which they do that a lot. Even with Brittany, whatever her name is from
Reiner.
Brittany Reiner, like, bro, like that. Come on, that was a play, man. That wasn't. She was in no real trouble. But
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I think she was definitely in that jail.
Besides,
miserably so.
I mean, look.
But
all I know
it
is
has been part of a grander scheme to show how weak the United States is to capitulating towards someone who's of a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
To get them out.
Yeah.
But the thing that was interesting about the interview was that like I think his purpose was that he wanted to specify that what he was being charged with was not what the news was reporting on. So the news was reporting that he was in trouble for some type of sex crimes, human trafficking, and but what he actually went to court for was something related to trying to extort money out of like women using TikTok. So it was never there was no actual sex crime.
Oh, wow.
So, but the news kept on pushing the same story despite the fact that it wasn't true and they didn't care.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting because it was like, don't they have to like fact check these things? The whole thing about fake news and whatever, like these big outlets and media sources, like they can't just say anything.
Yes, they can. Yeah. Yes, they can. That's exactly what they can do.
It'd be like
they can bring up any sort of question.
You go to jail for like abandoning your dog, and they say that you like kidnapped a 6-year-old. Like
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, trapping has been in the news a lot lately. Not necessarily mainstream news, but in a lot of like article news. And so like, I mean, even with this whole movie, Sounds of Freedom that came out, like, you know, there's some things behind that. Like, it's such a rabbit hole of a conversation that I don't want to go too deep into at the moment. But you know, look, I'm looking at Masonic concept. Look at the hand symbolisms that he does. I'm looking at, you know, oh, I have this secret club that's like a Freemasonry, but it's really not, you know, and blah blah blah. And like, come on, man, it's really just it's playing in your face, pissing in your face, and calling it rain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's my opinion on the guy.
Well, how's your week been?
Yeah, not to derail you. How was your week?
Oh yeah, man, my week has been good, man. Look, before I go off the handle, right? But my week has been pretty. How was my week, man? My week has been pretty decent. It is. My week has been pretty decent.
Dirt napped.
It's been pretty decent. It was just kind of on cruise control, you know, getting clients out the way, working, trying to, you know, fully come out of vacation mode this week. I was supposed to start working out again, but I didn't, so I will tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been about maybe almost 3 weeks. Still was using the shoulder as an excuse, but it's good enough now to start working. Yeah, it still feels slightly, but it's still good. Excuse me. Still good enough to start. Yeah, it's nothing real special to report about my week. I'm trying to get back into consistent reading again. You know, it's just it's just getting life back on track. So yeah, that's just it. Getting life back to normal.
How often do you usually work out a week? Like you said,
averages maybe like 4 times.
Okay.
Four.
And how much you
Anywhere from 3 to 5. You average 4.
Okay.
How much you typically read per week?
I try to read. I try to read at least an hour a day.
Okay.
Even from 45 minutes to an hour a day. Except on Shabbat, I actually used to read for hours and hours. But now that I go to, you know, the congregation and stuff, that's my hours and hours. And by the time I come home, my mind just be fried.
Yeah.
So.
See that?
We're gonna get into that, talking about that.
Okay.
In our main topic, because because that's something that I've been wanting to do a lot more now on Shabbat. So let's get into our precept. The precept for the day comes from 2 Timothy 2:15.
Yes, I've got quite a popular known precept for us today.
Thank goodness. Something mainstream.
66.
Yeah.
Mainstream.
And just because, and so y'all know, that's only because of what the Europeans told y'all. All of our Israelite writings are mainstream to us as a nation once we know who we are and who's written it. But anyway,
preach.
2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show yourself approved unto Elohim, a workman that needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. That is our precept for the day. So, what do y'all pull out of that?
Oh, I think that you have to prove what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can apply what you know, but you also have to have a basis for it. Otherwise, if anyone comes to you, they could like just sway your opinion like the wind. When you've studied something, you're confident in it. And when it comes time where you're being tested in life, you can apply what you've learned because you actually studied it. It's in you, you know. It's not a quick cramming session where it's like, let me just read everything I could possibly read in this very moment and just be super on fire about the word. No, studying is a lifestyle and it's something that happens over the course of time.
Yeah.
You gotta be seasoned in your faith. The things that I studied at elementary Christian school, I probably am gonna go over like this. What we said, this verse you chose, mainstream study, show thyself approved. I'm gonna go back over and still always read those stories again that I've known ever since I was a kid. But my level of understanding increases. I can't study a lifetime's worth of like knowledge in the word in a year, in 2 years. Like it takes time. It takes decades.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between reading the Bible in a year
and actually like studying the entire.
Studying.
Actually, the studying the entire word is like a lifelong ordeal. To be honest, you'll never. I don't think there's not one person that's ever walked this earth besides Hamashiach that knows the Bible from the back, has interpreted it all, understands every single one of it, who wrote it, when it was wrote, what it was written for. There's nobody on earth who knows all of the Bible like that.
I agree.
Yeah, he was there.
That reminds me of the book of Eli, when he's walking, continuously walking with this book, and at the end you find out that he's actually is blind, and he has memorized the entire book, like in order, every verse, and he recites the whole thing, and that's him delivering the book.
And that doesn't even mean that he literally understands every part of it.
Right.
He just memorized to be able to make copies, which is still a beautiful feat within itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, studying is like going deep, you know.
Yeah. Studying is vital, and it's it also reminds me of learning, meditating on, and also applying with studying. But you know, although that this is a mainstream, I guess, verse, it's not promoted as a mainstream way of living for Christians in Christianity. Unfortunately, like, you know, a lot of Christians, they just listen to what their pastor has to say, and they don't really study, show themselves approved. And I think that that's when, like, like when certain Christians, they get confronted by other people in other religions. That's why they're just faltering, and they're not, like, it's like you got, you know, well, for example, like you say, don't judge people or something like that. Like someone tells a Christian, like, oh, don't judge me, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll back off, because they use one verse against somebody. But there's so many other verses, and also that's not even how even what Yahshua said in Matthew, like, you know, take the beam first, remove the beam from your eye before you point out the speck in someone else's. I know I probably messed that up, but it's just like you gotta have more bullets in your gun than just one bullet. And that's like, when you study, show yourself approved, you have more bullets to use against the enemy. And it is really vital that we do study, show ourselves approved. And I think, like, earlier on in 2 Timothy, Paul talks about enduring hardness as being a good soldier for Jesus Christ. And it's literally like, it's part of the process of enduring hardness is studying and building up your mental Rolodex of scripture, and, you know, how to fight against the enemy, because literally it's black and white. It's light versus darkness, and like everything happens spiritually before it happens naturally. So it's like I got flicked off when I was driving into here, and I was like, you know what? I probably should have prayed for that man. I probably should have. But instead, I came outside and I got toted, and I walked up behind the whip and stared him down as he drove slowly down the street, strode right into his rear view mirror. What's up, bro? Intimidation. We should have just prayed for that brother, because he probably needed it. But you know, that doesn't even have to do with studying. But pray that we wouldn't have to whoop off on him as hard as we wanted to.
I'm so scared. You guys are really scared.
Yeah.
Hey, you should never be scared, because we're here to protect you.
We are here.
I mean, no one's ever flipped me off coming in, but if they do, I know who to call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. I don't know how quickly we'll get here,
but yeah.
285 be back there.
but yeah. Anyway.
Study. I encourage, like, I mean, if I were to start a congregation, like a church, I'll be like, yo, first off, I would probably have a whole gosh dang series on studying and show yourself approved. Because y'all need to be checking me. I need to be checking you. We all need to be studying so that we can rightly divide the truth.
Yeah. All right, you going to our podcast topic a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Nah, you good. Nah, but good. This does relate to our podcast topic, though.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Hebrew word that we pulled out in that.
Well, I didn't go.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I ain't give my look. So, right after that verse, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase into more wickedness. So that verse means to me, yeah, man, you're gonna hear a lot of stuff, a lot of different doctrines, a lot of different and just all different types of just crap. You need to be studied enough to where you can sift through the false doctrines and the falsicities. And it says to prove yourself unto Elohim or Elohim or God.
Plural, by the way.
Right, or Yah, whatever you go with. So it's a thing where it's like we're not studying to prove ourselves to man, but it's prove ourselves how much do we want to know the Most High, who He is, and our purpose for our life. Like, I say a lot of times, around my dad, like, I don't care what people think. Like, I really live like I don't care. And he'll respond like, that's not biblical. You're supposed to care because you're representing. And I understand from that perspective. But I don't care on the level of, I know how the Most High views me versus what other people do. If people misconstrue, they don't understand, or they question, blah, blah, blah. Bruh, like, cool. You don't matter, but my daddy do. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of two. I look at that those two different ways. But so yeah, man, that's basically what I get on that. Anybody else before I look up the Hebrew word? All right, cool. So the Hebrew word that we're obviously going to pull out of this verse for today is the word study. All right, and the Hebrew word, Strong's 3854, lahag. All right, lahag is study, devotion to books. Definition: study, devotion to books. In the ASB translation, excessive devotion.
Excessive.
And yes, excessive. Study, from an unused root meaning to be eager, intense mental application. Study. And yeah, I mean, that's literally what that is. When you already know what picture you get when you're literally in the book. Okay, you're researching what that means with your concordance over here. You might look on this site to get this commentary on this. Like, you're going deep,
And it's kind of like you tell a kid, like, all right, go over there and do your homework, and come over there, like, just writing anything. They're not really interested in it. And then, like, versus, like, a student that's in medical school, and they're, like, really applying themselves. Like, I need to know this. I want to know this. So we don't want to read the word out of obligation. Like, we don't want to give ourselves, like, I will read one verse every morning for 15 minutes. No, I'm reading with intention because there's something that I need to know and need to find about this. So, like, for example, I've started reading Acts, but I didn't just, like, randomly open my Bible and just, like, point to something. I was like, okay, let me be really intentional about reading in the New Testament, because this kind of goes into our topic, but when you go for independent study versus assembly, I think that when I was coming into the truth, it was like Old Testament, like everything I've ever been missing. I think I never learned this in Baptist church. I didn't know this, but there's so much importance in the Gospels. Like, so I just have taken time out to just literally just read through the book of John. Right now I'm in Acts, and I'm trying to not just sit down and make myself sit there and read, like, be very intentional about what I'm reading, why, and like you said, like, applying myself to the text, because I should get something out of it differently than the first time that I ever read Acts.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? I learned in Christianity, this is very commonly said. When you don't know what to read, just drop the Bible on its whatchamacallit, let it fall up. And that's not, you know what I mean?
Well, like witchcraft to me.
Yeah. That's not. I don't know about that, but it's like, bro, like, whatever this means, like, you're getting no context. Like, you just, does this even apply to where you are in your life at the moment, know? Or like, or even when people would just go on the Bible app. Like, I've actually been seeing, like, certain people, there's one person in our circle, seen them post on Facebook, they were like, I've been slowly moving away from the Bible app, right? And it's because, these little cute little devotionals that preachers or pastors or people put together don't always even show verses in context. It really just kind of pull from random verses to fit what the subject is, but that verse might not even mean that. And so that's not real study. Devotionals, that's a topic we need to jot down devotionals.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll add it to
yeah.
the list.
Devote.
Yeah.
Devote.
Yeah.
Chanel.
Yeah. But those Bible app devotionals, I'm sorry, y'all. That's milk. That's super milk. You know.
Yeah. I do like using the Bible app because it has multiple versions of text. But I haven't looked at a devotional or even like I want to say like a plan.
Yeah.
I haven't read a planner.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't go into the Christian bookstore and get the Bible for Men and Men's Bible Study devotional book. You didn't sit down at the park and open it up and read it.
And then read relationship goals.
Relationship goals, yeah.
Mind you, there's nothing wrong with the Bible app. I was just using that example. But yeah, you know, it's just my personal opinion that devotionals aren't really a great way to study.
You can create your own. You can create your own devotional, and like, you know, you can look up certain verses. Like, let's say you're seeking for peace. You know, you can go look up verses about peace and read those whole chapters, whether it's, you know, in Isaiah.
Yeah, Google search will bring.
Yeah, and then just create your own devotional. That's
maybe,
showing yourself approved.
And maybe study those verses or chapters of verse come out individually so you understand the context.
Yep.
But I feel like that's even better than like just going through a devotion that somebody else put together. You know.
And that I guess that does say that there's a very difference between like studying for context versus like you are emotional and so you are looking for an emotional thing. Like I could see myself using a devotional related to something. If I'm sad or going through grief or like I have stress in my life, I'm bad time management, so now I'm wanting to do a devotional that pulls pieces of the word out relevant to those little things, as opposed to like studying for like deeper meaning and answers to things. Like there's a very big difference.
Yeah.
Even like at Boom, we had, I think it was like a Friday night where Bishop did a teaching and it was on marriage, but it wasn't like the way that, you know how they do marriage in church where it's like, oh, what you bring, they must like bring, like they try to make it mainstream, like opinion on marriage. And he was like, no, like I'm not telling y'all how to be married. I'm just literally telling you what the Hebrew says. Like this is a Hebrew tradition. It wasn't advice on how to be married. It was literally just like, this is the actual study of the tradition and how it was done then.
Yeah, man. I had a thought, but it kind of slipped my mind. But I mean, yeah, man. That's that's just kind of where I see that subject. So if it comes back to mind, I'll pop up. But
yeah,
man.
It'll probably come back up in our main topic or even in our alternative thoughts. So
yeah, probably.
We'll look back around. So next, you guys ready to get on current events?
Yes, current events. So I've been like super engulfed in news related to things going on in Africa. Like to me, it just seems like Africa is literally on fire. There's lots of conflict, lots of human rights violations going on, refugee crisis, immigration issues, civil wars, and the list goes on. So, but most recently...
Can I interject real quick?
Yes, please.
As someone who does a lot of research on Africa, for my African viewers, America is still worse off. Just know we're not coming down on Africa. We're not mentally trash like most Americans are in our view of Africa. We know how beautiful it is, and we know that the USA is going through more than Africa literally is in a lot of different ways. We're just pointing out some specifics. But
I agree.
Beautiful, and we know we already know how developed it is and how it's developed.
And Africa is not a country;
it's a continent, the homeland.
Yes, I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Things that you're saying. However,
disclaimer. Yeah.
In the Congo, there are lots of issues, articles coming out related to child labor, human rights violations, and terrible work conditions around cobalt mining. Now, there's been an increase in demand for cobalt due to the fact that this is the mineral that's used in almost every single electronic device that requires a rechargeable battery. And right now,
is cobalt and coltan the same thing?
I'm not sure.
Okay, keep going. I'm gonna look.
Okay.
How do you spell that? Do you know?
Cobalt.
Cobalt.
What's right there?
It's COBALT.
Okay, gotcha. All right, go ahead.
And so there's an increased demand for cobalt because there's this push for like the electronic car thing. They want to push out all electronic cars and take a lot of what do they call traditional electric cars? Not electronic.
Gas.
Yeah, gas goes.
Gas
They're
goes.
trying to take. They're trying to change
EVs versus gas,
that
yeah.
and like normalize the electronic cars and of course the iPhones. Everyone in the world almost has an iPhone. The iPhone has reached every corner of the earth by now, and so they already are having issues as far as like, I guess, education, opportunity for wealth, industry in the Congo. Therefore, people, women, and children are working in these mines for as little as $1 or 50 cents a day, physically digging up cobalt with their hands or with small tools, and they're breathing in toxins, working crazy number of hours. Like it's just really insane. There's kids out there digging. Young boys are like getting inside of tunnels and attempt to like mine cobalt that are capable of collapsing. People are being buried alive, but there's like this crazy demand and push, and there's no real solution, I guess. Like it's like we need the cobalt. There's not a lot of better industry in the Congo at this time, and so it's literally like slavery going on.
I think cobalt, and coltan are both kind of on the same level. Like you could talk about coltan on the same level. Same thing going on in Congo. So coltan is a similar mineral, but but it's the same situation. So let me give them a definition of what these minerals are so they understand. This is from AskDifference.com. Cobalt is a chemical element with the symbol CO and atomic number 27. Like nickel, cobalt is found in the Earth's crust only in a chemically combined form, save for small deposits found in alloys of natural meteoric iron. Coltan, there's actually a lot here. Cobalt is hard, brittle, metallic. It is like silverish gray, it can be blue. Now you have coltan. Coltan is a dull black metallic ore from which elements niobium and tantalum are extracted. Blah blah blah. These are used for mobile phones, personal computers, automotive electronics, and cameras. So I just want to give some of that context for what these minerals are. Basically, we wouldn't have most of our electricity without these minerals.
So that's where, to me, that's where it's it's very conflicting because there is really almost no solution for this. I mean, they interviewed a few women and asking them about their experience and why they're stuck doing this for such little money, and she just literally said, "This is the difference between my kids being hungry and not being hungry. If we weren't here mining, a lot of days, we would not have any food to eat at all for entire days."
Yeah.
And so they're not going to, if they increase the price of everything, every electronic battery, most people couldn't afford to have a car or a phone.
Yeah.
If they put all these regulations in place, it would take much longer for them to, I guess, mine or whatever they need to do. It would cause it to be more expensive. If they took the industry out of the Congo, those people who are doing this would lose their way of living. So I just don't know what the solution is. It's just like an egregious crime against humanity, yet there is no solution for it.
Yeah, I just don't. It kind of stinks. It very much stinks because those are people over there mining in these places, and it definitely is a crime against humanity. And it's like it's not even going towards their economy really. It kind of is, but it really isn't. It's really fueling the Western economy, and even in Asia and in Russia, and like just the modern economies, it's fueling materialism really, because literally everything now, especially with this EV push, has chips in it, and that's basically what like how they make like cobalt is using these semiconductor chips, and that's really why we're about to go to war with China, and it's like. What are we gonna do? Like what can we do? Because this technology needs these resources, but these resources come at the expense of people having to breathe in these chemicals, having to endure 18-hour work days. Like
They could give them some type of mask, to be honest, for real. But they don't care. It's expensive.
I don't know what their labor laws are.
I guess they could. So it would be. I think it would be a matter of like dispersing the wealth. So instead of there being like these huge powerhouse organizations that make all the money off of cobalt, there would be more smaller orgs, and they could thus pay better. So instead of one or two people getting all these millions and billions of dollars from cobalt, it's less centralized. Thus, they're able to pay better, and everyone gains in that way. But it's greed.
Let me point out a mystery here, okay, with this entire thing. All right, the Congo. Okay, the Congo is located in the center of Africa. Okay, we could really say cobalt coltan is equivalent with Marvel's vibranium.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Where was Wakanda placed in the movie in Africa?
It was hidden.
The exact dead center of Africa.
Yes, it was.
Wait a minute. Where is Congo located? In the dead center. And it is the most looted part of Africa. You know what?
That's interesting.
Let me show you, and I'm going to put this on the screen for you guys. I wonder what Harvard University has to say about what location this is. Do you see here on this map on Harvard's library, they have an ancient map of Africa here, right? When you zoom in, you see that the map says Ibiram Terra, okay? And that's placed in the center of Africa. Now, we do know that in the Hebrew, we may or may not know the Hebrew, to say Hebrew in the Hebrew language is to say ivory or Ivrim, okay? It'll even show that in your Cobram Bibles. So, Ibiram is how you say it in Latin, because this is a Latin map. So, when you go and you Google translate Ibiram Terra, you get Land of the Jews. In Google Translate.
Oh, wow.
That's very interesting.
And so I just want y'all to see how they kind of show us what's going on in movies. Wakanda, showing that this is most likely where Israelites settled.
Exactly.
Everybody wants the vibranium. You know what I mean? Everybody wants the cobalt, the coltan. And the Congo is right. Mind you, it just been coming out in recent news in the Congo, just within the last month. They've been talking about on the news. We've been finding out that we're related to the Israelites in the Bible. This has been conversation in the Congo.
Oh, wow.
Recently, yes, in the last couple of months. Yeah, there's been big talks about this.
Well, these things are not a coincidence.
And so I'm gonna put it like this from my perspective. I understand why this is happening. What's happening? The world know it's happening. The elites know it's happening. They're telling us it's happening. And at the same time, I understand it. Yes, it's definitely sad. It's like trafficking almost. You know what I mean? You're using child labor. I think Google has been suspected of using child labor. McDonald's has been suspected of using child labor. China has been suspected of using child labor. I mean, really, a lot of it is going on all over the world. Excuse me. And so these people know that where the densest, where the children of Israel are, is still going to be the densest amount of resources and materials. And so this is how you know it's very strategic on how they loot, these things. Africa isn't just the homeland or the motherland. It is the homeland and motherland of the nation that the Most High commissioned to be examples of him to the rest of the earth. And when we look at these old maps and stuff, start telling,
it's just so backwards, the concept, how hopeless your future is, knowing that you are very, very poor and you and your family have to do this kind of physical labor, but you literally live on a gold mine. You live on top of a gold mine, but you're starving, your kids can't eat.
That is insane.
How can that be? How did they do this? How did they flip everything on its head, and everyone who lives on the most valuable resources are the poorest, and those who live in places like freaking Iceland, in Sweden or whatever, Switzerland, people walking around rich as heck. What do they even make in house there? We don't make anything in house here, and people are walking around wealthy.
This is what missionary work does. This is how you change a whole mindset and generation of people's mind. When missionaries come and they have a white guy on their head and they just go along with what the European tells them to do. I want you to imagine, what do you think the nation of Congo would do if in one day all the news told everybody you're the descendants of the children of Israel? And the Bible that...
They're so disenfranchised that I don't even know if that information would have crazy ripple effect. Like they're already under the thumb. They're literally living out real slavery.
I understand what you're saying, but we know that knowledge is power, and so I think we can also understand how a knowledge of self. See, you gotta understand, most of the Africans are either Islam or Christian,
Yes.
right?
Sunni.
And they really hold super tight to their word more than Christianity over here, right?
That's true.
And so you gotta understand, people are fueled by their beliefs and what they believe in. And so if you add that element of identity into your belief, and this kind of white God, this kind of, because you can mentally make somebody a slave, but once their mind changes, come out of that, they can't be comfortably enslaved.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, if our people knew who they were, I feel like that would make them want to stand up even harder and dig themselves out of this some way. Like, that's why I love living in the era of the dry bones waking up, because as this knowledge spreads, I think a lot more of our people are going to literally like bust themselves out of these shackles. And with the Congo just now, like in the news area, coming into knowledge of who they are, I feel like we're gonna start to see some of this ripple effect.
Yeah.
I pray. I definitely do. I pray we do.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, the other country that's been experiencing a lot of turmoil in the news is Sudan. And so, according to this CNN article,
Sudan. That's all I want to say.
I never.
Look, man, it be hitting right there in plain sight. Well, go ahead.
The CNN article says desperate scene has more than 3.1 million people displaced by war in Sudan. More than 3.1 million people have been forced to flee their homes, and increasingly desperate humanitarian situation and war towards Sudan. Human rights groups are warning of widespread ethnic violence, attacks on civilians, sexual violence against women and girls, and warring fractions. And so basically, 700,000, 800,000 people have physically walked across the border to nearby countries such as Chad, and they're setting up these huge refugee camps because of some kind of civil war that's going on. The Sudan is like one of those countries where you don't know who the good guys are. So there's the actual government, and then there's always a militia group, and they're at war. And sometimes the fact of the matter is that the militia group actually protects the people, and the government is corrupt. So they're trying to overthrow the government, but they make the militiamen look like terrorists.
Mind you, if there's anybody from these places that has better insight, feel free to drop a comment, educate us, share, throw some, because we would, of course, love our platform to spread awareness on these things.
Yes, I agree. The other factor is that for some reason, the Arab Muslims are causing conflict. And I don't know if it's causing the militia and the government to fight one another, or if the Arabs are aiding, supplying war weapons and things like, and allowing them to fight each other to the death. But they pretty much are clearing out, like people are leaving. So someone's going to take over that region at some point. But what I found interesting is that when you look at footage and videos of the camps and where the people are at, there are mostly just women and children. A lot of men have either died or they stayed back home or they didn't make it. So there's like huge camps with a bunch of women and babies, and every single woman is covered from head to toe because they're all a part of Islam. Like not a single one person is not.
Which
and
Islam was forced on Africa, by the way.
It's just very like, how is that even possible? The lack of diversity. You mean that every single one of these 700,000 some women subscribe to the belief in Islam? Why is that? And does that have anything to do with what they're going through?
I think at the end of the day, when you're not submitting yourself to the Most High, you're going to be able to, you can go through anything because you don't have the protection. And we talked about a little bit, before we started recording, but Islam was forced on Africa, A lot of us don't realize we were enslaved to the Arabs for 1,000 years, and that was the slavery we were in before, the American slavery. And so Arabs invaded, basically Africa, and basically conquered in the name of Muhammad, and it was convert or die, basically. And this is why we have so many, like there's an African restaurant that just opened up across the street, and I've gone there, and they're Yoruba. They don't even realize, man, most of Yoruba are like a mix of Levi, Judah, Ephraim, but they're Muslim, you know what I mean? And I kind of chopped up with a little bit of, you know what I mean, and kind of threw in some nuggets. But that's the thing. A lot of us have been coerced or forced into religions that don't reflect the culture we come from. And so when you see Catholicism and images and idols, you have the poorest people. And then you got, people who, even if they subscribe to the Torah, Judaism, or Islam, there's gonna be just some things that they go through, you know. So yeah, it was definitely forced on Africa. Islam is not a black religion, and Muhammad was a tan Caucasian, but that's another rabbit hole to go down.
Yes, and so then I also hear that it'll be ethnic related conflicts. So, but to us, it's just from the outside looking in, all you see is people from the same place fighting each other. Only they know the difference between their ethnicities and their tribes and what they're really fighting for. We'll never know. We may never ever get to the bottom of it. But I just, I think that's really sad. My heart goes out to people that are experiencing this kind of poverty in the Congo, refugees that are fleeing from Sudan. It's sad, and I wish that there was more that we could do.
I wish the statement everybody knows what their tribes and their history was all the way true, but that's kind of a big reason why we're at. A lot of us don't know who we are, and so it's wild when you can kind of it's this crazy matrix where you can know more about a person than they know about their history, but because the pride of who they are and how can you tell me who I am, they may not listen or they might not believe it. But hey, these Europeans done hide some stuff in the book, and it's hard to admit that maybe your family has been brainwashed. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, but I understand what you're saying. I just had to throw that in there. So, what's up?
I don't know. I'm thinking a little like with both of these situations, these humanitarian crises that are going on in the motherland. I'm just trying to like come from the perspective and understand how the West played a role in creating this. First off, with the Congo, like capitalism has fueled this. But with this refugee crisis in Sudan, I'm thinking about the military-industrial complex and how the West played a role in that and has supplied low-key like both sides of like in the Middle East for we're probably going on like I'll say 40 years since the 80s because that's when Desert Storm happened. So I'm just like it's really unfortunate. I think that now it's mainstream because it's like it's reaching a point to where so many lives are being affected, whether it's on a daily basis with the Congo or like even in the Sudan, like people are being displaced and having to leave their homes. It's just all part of, I think, Satan's desire to have control over people in their lives, and it's I know Islam does play a factor in that, but it's just like only if we knew better. And it was interesting. He said Sudan. I'm like, damn,
You ever think about this? Nigeria, Kenya, Angola, Ghana, like, but
it's just like only if we knew, that we were the Most Highs and like our ancestry. I think that a lot of people would also want to talk about this more, but also study it more and like just be telling other people like, yo, you're from here and you like we need to get out. Like you need to get out of this idolatry, the system that we're in. But it's just like I think it's all part of the
Deuteronomy 28. I will set you on top and you will not be the tail. Like, you know what I mean?
Like
that's one of the blessings. but we've lost that covenant, and we don't realize that accepting the Messiah is really just accepting that renewed covenant that doesn't blot out, a lot of the stuff in the old. But
you have to know who your enemies are. A lot of times when you don't know who your enemies are, you will literally sell yourself out to house and home.
Yeah.
So if the Congo was owning their resources, they would be one of the richest nations on the earth because they have the natural resources to make them wealthy. But they sell out to their enemies and allow their enemies to enslave them, and thus continue to let it spiral. And then the people in the government and the very, very few at the top are incredibly, insanely rich, and the people are suffering.
Yeah.
This is why I always say I can't wait until African Americans and Africans really, the African diaspora really gets to act together, because, Africans, I admire their spirituality, their peace, their low level of materialism, right? But there's a naivete that's been put on them because of what's been happening over time. They don't even have armies no more. How warriors, look, Europeans was afraid to go to Africa for a good while. But then you have us, we've grown up with our enemies. There's a certain way we look. We ain't just gonna go along with the get along. So when you really combine the peace, the understanding the earth knowledge of Africans and all of that, and the spirituality, with the kind of, I'm not gonna say warriors mindset that we have, but the more not gonna take no bull, it's gonna be a powerful force to be reckoned with, because a lot of get enough Chicago homies and whatever that coming to the truth. We gonna have some steppers in training.
I know we're quite militant. There's very few who are just it's fine. No, it's everything's militant.
So I just can't wait for that day.
And Dr. Umar does speak about the Caribbean and what's going on, and how Jamaica's quite literally allowing China to buy up all of its resources, everything, letting them to own all of the big commercial real estate properties, vacation places. They're selling everything to them. They're outsourcing government contracts to China. So that's an example. It's you either don't know who your enemy is and don't understand that you're allowing them to sell, you're literally selling your soul to China. Why would they do that? But this is what they do.
Money.
But yeah, so I think we got our thoughts out on this one. So
ready for the topic?
Yeah. All right.
Let's get into it.
So the topic this week is, we want to discuss independent study versus assembly. Let's talk about our experience in coming into the truth, studying independently, what the importance of, or lack of importance of, being a part of assembly. What are our opinions on that? Can you study independently and keep growing, or do you require an assembly?
Well, because of the pandemic, I think a lot of people were forced to shift their, maybe they didn't, but shift their, we'll say, worship, study, interaction in relationship with the Most High to a more of an individual setting, or maybe just more of a nuclear family type of setting, because churches had to be closed. Well, certain did. And for me, I found that the pandemic was it was a really good time for me to kind of take a bird's eye view of all that I had learned in church, growing up, going to church and everything like that, and then also have time to where I didn't have to go to church, but I literally had to study, and I had to still cultivate my relationship with the Most High. I had to learn how to pray, which is a process, I had to really find the right teachers to listen to.
I can't imagine Elijah praying one of those. And God, thank you for waking me up, and and I have clothes and.
You trying to say?
No. I can't imagine Elijah.
I want to say learn to pray, but because I've always known how to pray, but I think learning how to pray in an actual important manner, actually praying the scriptures, you know, like actually like communicating with the Most High to like a different level. So yeah, like the independent study for me was brought on by the pandemic, and I realized, I was like, dang, I really like, this is all on me to be able to, you know, consider myself to be like a follower of Christ, and not necessarily one who's just gonna do it because, oh, I just go to this church and this is my preacher, you know, this is my pastor. Like, so it gave me the opportunity to like have time for myself and study on my own, which was a really healthy thing for me, and it helped me, I don't want to say form my own perspective, but like, you know, deepen my beliefs in Jesus, but also like in different parts of the word. And you know, coming into the truth last year, like it was like it gave me a different level of desire to want to study and understand what God's word means, from the understanding that, you know, we here as individuals of the African diaspora here in the United States are descendants from the 12 tribes of Israel, and we are Hebrews, you know. So it's like that led me to wanting to independently study a lot more. And I knew that like I started going back to church without my parents like 2 years ago, and I just needed to, because I was like, I literally had to have an assembly. I don't necessarily have to fellowship.
You miss that kind of.
Yeah, like I want to hear some music, you know, like on Sundays, like just I gotta get back into that routine. So it's good for me to have that. But then when I came down here, it was like, oh, these people, like, you know, they're really studying to show themselves approved independently of coming here, and then they're also aligned with being in the truth. And it was just like, I really actually enjoyed talking to these people and getting to know them, and like fellowshipping and breaking bread, and you know, even thinking about business together, you know what I mean, and starting a podcast. Like,
you found
like,
School of Hebrews first?
Yeah, that was literally the first one. And I had.
Were you put on to it, or you just?
I was put on to School of Hebrews. I want to say it was like in August, before I came here, and I started listening to Pastor O's stuff. And I was like, okay, this is what's up. Let me keep listening, and then I was always listening to Darby, but like then when I moved here, my boy who had put me on to Pastor O, he was like, yeah, he actually has a church in Atlanta. I was like, oh,
like, I'll be there.
Let me go ahead and pull up.
I've been seeing his videos for a good while before I realized he had a location.
Really? Yeah, and honestly, like, first couple of times I was like, okay, like let me just feel this out. But then after the New Year, I was like, I'm just gonna plan on serving here. You know what I mean? Like just staying here, because I really do enjoy the fellowship and the accountability. You know what I mean? We hold each other accountable, at least the brothers, and it's like that's important, and not just like in a sense of, you know, like, oh, you're falling into sin. No, like you need to actually study to show yourself approved, so that, you know, when the newest person does come into the church or to the congregation, or whenever you meet them on the street, even, you need to be able to like provide a word for them, you know, so that they can be able to you know, just be led towards choosing Jesus. So that's my little take on this topic. But I definitely lean more into independently studying right now. I definitely appreciate the assembly and having fellowship, but I'm in a season where I just like, I gotta be on. I know what I need to study, and I know I have to study to the max, so that like I can actually provide value for the assembly. So
Nice.
I feel a few ways about the independent study versus assembly. One, I think there's a time and a place for both things. I think you can grow in your faith in both ways, in both areas. But I do think that if you continue on the path of independent study, like inevitably forevermore, and you never plan to be a part of an assembly, your doctrine may become extremely specific and niche, and you may not be in a position to necessarily go out and win souls and talk to different people. It's like, I know I've got this very, very specific belief that I've been leaning into and I've been learning about for however many years, and maybe if you have a spouse, they're on that same page with you. but you might not be called to be fishers of men. Like I don't think that. I think you have to be around other people a little bit more in order to understand human interaction and to be able to be that.
Yeah.
To even like tell the gospel, the good news to another person.
I think we're all called. I understand what you mean.
We are, but it was like you were saying about the
yeah.
social awkward thing about being away from people for so long during the pandemic.
Yeah,
like, when you're not personable and you're very, very like educated and your belief is super niche, you may not just be out there ready to tell the word to anyone. Like you might be like, honestly, I hate everyone at this point. Like I am like so locked into what I have going on. I don't care about people. Like I'm just not called to love people. Like I just think you can get like that.
Or at least at the stage, we are supposed to. We know we're supposed to love everybody.
Yeah.
She's basically. I understand what you're saying.
Like you'll be annoyed by people. Like if they're not where you're at or don't understand what you understand, you just might not want to interact. But when you're part of an assembly, you have to interact with
it's like a level of zeal that Bishop actually said. He prayed a prayer over me at one time at Boom. Like I see the zeal in him.
Mm-hmm.
I see his posts. You know what I mean? Like he really prayed that the Most High fine tune and mature me more in my walk, so my zeal is better directed.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just shooting everywhere, but I have a target. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But go ahead. I understand what you're saying.
So, but for some people, the way that they ever come into the truth, the way they ever question their belief to find out more, they have to do it independently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I never left the Baptist church, if you never left Church of Christ, if we never question these things or question the leader, Church of God. Oh, sorry.
Church of God. I grew up going to Church of God.
Kojic? Is
So,
that Kojic or not?
Non-denominational.
if we never question these things, I think we would just stay there, continue to learn to the extent that they're able to feed us, not what we feed. So we had to study independently to get where we're at.
He's 60 and on milk.
Now I did not have a congregation before I came to School of Hebrews. I didn't have a congregation for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years. I studied on my own. I would have my mom to talk to because she was kind of on the same path at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I wanted to find a church, but at the same time, I just wanted to sit in the back and I just wanted nobody to notice me. And if I didn't come for 2 months, nobody was going to call me and make sure I was okay. It was just I just don't want it to be seen. I just wasn't really confident in where I was and in my lifestyle. I just wasn't really serious with my walk at that time. So I just wanted to be able to come and hear word, but also just disappear and no one cared.
Yeah.
But when you're a part of assembly and you're being held accountable, you have friends, people are going to check in on you. You want to know what's going on. You haven't been around, you're not prioritized coming to church. Is everything okay, or are you in a bad season?
Mm-hmm.
People gonna be in your mix a little bit, and so that's the thing that turns some people away from wanting to be a part of an assembly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just yesterday, Sister Charlita, I hope I said her name right, at Boom, she approached me. She does the kids thing at Boom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she came and was like, hey, I just noticed I never really came up and talked to your group or your people like that. And it's not, she went a whole explain how be things. I understand, it's all good. We're here, And so that's just gonna happen, even if people are gonna want to gravitate and find out who you are, especially if they've seen you repetitively.
Yeah. And I just like you decided okay, let me serve at School of Hebrews until you do, and you're very consistent. I went to Sister Charlita and Lady Emma and told them that I'm available to help with the kids' church.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I did have one day where I sat in and I helped with the teenagers a little bit, and then I haven't been there in the past 3 weeks. But I have good reasons, in my heart of hearts, I have my legit reasons why I haven't been able to make it. But now I feel bad because it's okay, I came and said I was going to serve, but now I haven't been there. I'm just going to still, I'm going to do my part. When I do show back up, I am going to take time and help with the children's church. But that's what comes with it. When you tell people you're going to do something, now you're being accountable. If it's all about independent study, it's you don't got to get out of bed, you don't got to show up for nobody, your attitude don't got to be right, you don't got to help extra, stay late, nothing. It's just you.
Just you, yeah.
So I think that assembly is important. And the other thing I want to say is I noticed even at School of Hebrews, sometimes the thing that keeps people coming back and being a part of that particular assembly
Mm-hmm.
is not the leader,
Mm-hmm.
is not really the word. They just love each other.
Yeah.
Like he
Oh, I love
could, the Pastor O could not be in attendance
Mm-hmm.
for upwards of 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
and every single person is going to be there
Yeah.
because they want to see each other.
Yeah,
I think that that's important.
yeah.
And now, of course, in a perfect world, you would have a very present leader,
Mm-hmm.
really, really good word that's cutting you, changing people's lives. All that's important,
Yeah.
and the assembly will be very involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think the reason that the doors are even open there at this time is because the members love each other and want to see each other every week
Yeah.
more than that they just can't live without this word.
Right.
That's you know what I actually haven't looked at School of Hebrews in that light. I would personally like for the pastor of the congregation to be there more often,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think it is a very beautiful thing that the members have a relationship that they don't have to depend on the pastor to show up and be there.
Right.
That's just extra for
Mhm.
real.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that that's actually kind of a beautiful dynamic. I never really looked at that perspective, but
Mhm.
I feel that.
They'll be there, like, and they can't wait to get together after service and
Mm-hmm.
Talk and
catch
chop
up
it
with each other, and
Mhm.
that's super important to that particular assembly.
I'll be the last person to leave almost.
Yeah.
No, it gets late.
Yeah.
Like, we've been out there. I remember one time the three of us
Yeah.
were talking with one of the ladies of the church, and she we were chatting with her until almost like 10:30 at night. And so, because she's just really supports our podcast and loves what we're doing, and wants young people to be a part of that. And so, I also just want to talk about, I think the evidence of a really strong assembly is diversity in age. Like,
Yes,
if you have an assembly that's like only
important.
That's
everyone
why
there is like only the elderly, and they're not bringing young people into the door.
Yeah.
That's kind
That's
of
a
a red
problem.
flag. If you have a
Because
whole bunch of women
you need
and
the
no
young
men,
people. You need the young people to be able to carry
Yeah.
the ministry and assembly alone.
That's
And you need a good mix of men.
you need men and women. If you just have a bunch, because that was very historically popular, like in a lot of communities, urban communities, where they have this church and the pastor's
Mhm.
driving a Bentley, and there's a bunch of single black women and no men
Mhm.
want to come.
Mhm.
And it's like, why is y'all brought all your daughters but none of your sons? Like,
Yeah.
only the girls are at church, the boys are in just running the street, causing absolute chaos. Like, what is the point here? We want to be diverse. We want family units, nuclear black family, like
Mhm.
look.
in the house.
Yeah, real fast story. One thing that actually sent me on my journey is the Most High really pulled me out of the church. You know, shout out Martin Street, Church of God, Glenwood Avenue. Still have love for y'all. But I got what I did is I went and I got a recording from mad people around the church, young and older, of what their view of the church was.
Mm.
And I created a PowerPoint presentation to bring to the board of why this church is dying
Yeah.
and what we can do to increase it. We're literally right there in the city, surrounded by all the colleges.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we're right by Turner Field.
Oh,
like,
wow.
not we are, but they are now. You
Mhm.
know, and so I that meeting
Mhm.
formed no fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Except
They got mad
that,
at you.
the pastor wound up in the Wednesday night Bible study the next week, which that was a gesture,
Yeah.
but nothing really came out of it.
Yeah.
And so I started to have my flipping tables moment.
Yeah.
Now, not literally, but I was on social media loud.
Oh wow.
I was on social media loud. Martin Street this,
Yeah.
that pastor not doing this.
That's your dad's church.
No. As a family,
Yeah.
we grew up going to this church. First, it was a church called Community Church of God.
Yeah.
And then, but while I was still young, we started going to Martin Street. So I've been to Martin Street most of my life.
Okay.
And so my dad was almost pastor at that church.
Okay.
But now in South Florida doing his thing.
Oh, okay.
And so, it got spicy.
Yeah.
And what had me stop going officially was after service one time, I went into prayer and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Most High, I had my first spiritual realm experience. I already kind of said it on here.
Mm-hmm.
But when I woke up, Most High was telling me, prepare. 2020 is not going to be everybody's year, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like predicting almost a pandemic.
Yeah.
And, or not predicting, but Most High prophesied it to me, right? And so I hadn't gone since. But yeah, the youth is dead. I'm like, yo, like it's a mad gap. There's so many empty pews in this huge church that we used to so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing stuff. And you know, that's what brought me out of that. And so that sent me on my journey of studying by myself. And then 2020 summer, I started to figure out, oh, my last name, Bashak. Oh, it's Hebrew. Oh, shoot, this, that. That sent me down a rabbit hole. Went to Kenya, came back, studying, and I went and read the Bible, whole 66, and then the Apocrypha, and then all these. And so, studying by yourself, I think, is most important, because I personally believe in learning from the Ruach HaKodesh first before you get the perspective of another person, right?
Holy Spirit.
And so for me, I like to read something before somebody else reads it to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe from my personal life and how I've liked to learn. Because I was never interested in church growing up like that. My dad could not get me interested. And I expressed to him, hey, look, like it's so much white God imagery. I started to look at this as that.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have led with, hey, you know, might not be like that. Even though we had the black Jesus picture on the wall, which we shouldn't, but you know, it still doesn't do much when you see so much different outside of your home, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I will say this: when it comes to self-study, I want to think one of the biggest mistakes that can be happening is when you're listening to mad different teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this in myself,
Yeah.
where now you have all these different perspectives of doctrine and stuff, and so you're all over the place.
Yeah.
Bishop mentioned how in the Israelite culture, a part of what our culture we lost is that parents would give their child to a rabbi or a teacher, and that teacher or sensei, right, would raise them up like their kid, feed them and teach them in the way of the laws and all that. And that's really how we're supposed to be learning. We're supposed to have a teacher that is grown up, but we don't have our culture.
Right.
So we do have to just kind of wing it because the people who are supposed to be the knowledgeable ones have not been raised in the culture of Israel. They've been raised in Roman, Catholic, seminary school, theology school, this perspective, all Ashkenaz Judaism, all this. And
we almost like don't have elders.
There you go.
Like people saying they came into the truth 2-3 years ago, kind of like when I was saying during the precept. No, we're talking about studying over something in a doctrine over years and generations. We need those people who have been in this, walking this Hebrew faith for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
That's an elder.
That's why
coming into truth 5 years ago, you're not an elder in this.
That's why believers in one Messiah is such a huge blessing. School of Hebrews is definitely a huge blessing. But I definitely want to highlight Bishop because he's been through what we've been through. He's been in so many different churches and he's been in this walk for a while. So now I understand, given his role, he keeps it safe and stays to like the canon and certain apocrypha he'll dive into, you know, and he'll keep other things a little secret until he feels like he's ready or you're ready to receive information, which I see him operating in his wisdom.
Yeah.
And so I do like that. I do like that maybe he's not all over his place and stays like kind of we are. Or maybe he doesn't agree with some of the concepts that are popular in Israelite faith, right? But he's studied so much and he's had so much experience that he knows exactly where he needs to be in the Most High's clear in his life. And how in depth we go into studies is a beautiful thing. So I definitely look at Believers of One Messiah as a place where elders are being built. I also look at School of Hebrews as being a place for that kind of potential. I just think School of Hebrews has to work a little bit better on the personal relationships and how close the leaders do get to the congregation like that. But these two congregations, I definitely both kind of look at that in that light. I wanted to read this in response kind of to what you said about, you know, us just being alone and keeping the word to ourselves. This is out of the book of Natsarim, right?
Okay.
Did you ever finish reading?
Oh yeah, I finished.
We need to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Some disciples came to Yahushua and asked whether they should not withdraw into the whether they should not withdraw into the wilderness, where they could dedicate their lives to Yahuwah. And Yahushua said, "Of what use would my I just love it. Of what use would my teachings be in the wilderness?
Yeah.
Are you going to save rocks from sin or convert camels? Will you enlighten the wind or give wisdom to mirages? Like you're so hot, you're just talking to the mirage, right? Where is the benefit of what you learn cannot be put into practice? Learning and good conduct must go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And the greatest wisdom is that which teaches men to live in harmony. They who seek to escape the test and trials of life are cowards.
That's real.
Dagger in the heart.
Yeah.
Are you going to withdraw from the conflict through the lack of courage, standing silently while the wicked swallow up the good? Book of Nazarene, chapter 4, verse 41 through 42.
Now, whoever asked that question was probably like,
Dang, man, they felt I'm a coward.
that's a stupid question. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a stupid question.
Never
too.
asking.
Wisest man
So you're
has
gonna
ever
convert
lived.
the camels?
Like, I thought about it.
But speak to the mirages, like
that is hilarious.
Yeah, so that's
That's
what
real though. Like we do need to get out here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like all of our from our independent studying, we need to be helping the assembly and those in the assembly mature. It's not on us, but if we are speaking to them, if we are communicating with them, we should be able to provide some we should be helping them grow in a sense.
And
Right.
We have so much fun getting to know each other. I mean, I guess I'm a people person. I love being around people or doing for people, hosting.
Yeah.
But when I think of an independent studier or someone who's has all this wealth of knowledge, I think of almost like Ebenezer Scrooge, coming from under a rock and they're having cut their hair and their beards growing everywhere. They're actually super grouchy, really, really grouchy. Do not ask this person a single question because they don't want to talk about it. And we are just sent to be. I mean, I feel not everyone has the same role, but I feel like by having a social outlet, by having assembly, I can pour into other people more.
I have such two extremes in that. I can really get in my alone bag and don't want to be around nobody. Don't want to. It's just me and my dog.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, I want to be around some people today.
I literally see it in you because I see how you just be like, oh, I'm not even gonna respond to anybody.
Yeah.
Or it's you literally created a whole group chat with 40 people in it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's
And know all the people.
The Most High forced me to do that.
Yeah.
The Most High made me.
I don't think that'd be an idea that you have just on your own.
The Most High took me in stages where I was a social butterfly partying around, then he made me really antisocial to just get really close to him.
Yeah.
And then he brought me back out towards the end of last year into this year with being around people and getting out of social awkwardness and actually having the capacity to deal with people again.
Yeah. That's real.
So sometimes it's just stages. We're supposed to have love, but you can definitely go through a Scrooge stage. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I also think that kind of like when you train to run, if I spend the whole summer running alone, I'm going on these runs, the runs kicking my butt, I'm not really good running well, and then as soon as I get back and we start conditioning and I'm running with my teammates, I'm killing these times, running way further, way faster than I could before. So it's the same concept really with the independent studying. You don't even know what to ask yourself. You're gonna you read the words, you're okay, meditate on it, okay, no further questions. I have no question until someone comes and challenges your thought on that.
Yeah.
I know I asked Bishop after a study, I asked him about his opinion on the 400-year prophecy because of one of the bigger things that people who are in the truth, they keep on kind of parroting this thing about the 400-year prophecy, and the 400 years was up in 2019, so now this, now that, we're leaving, we're going to do this, we're having an exodus, come on everyone, let's go. And then someone just comes along and is like, but technically, if 400 years passed, then are you saying the words wrong? Someone has to ask you a question. If it's just you, you're thinking I'm a genius, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do.
You gotta be challenged.
You're not being challenged.
Yeah.
You have to be.
Or you just have no questions. You're all right, read the word, believe it.
Right. Take a test.
That's it. No questions.
Most definitely. Y'all got anything else on all that? We hashed it out?
Yeah.
I feel that. So what we got?
So we have our alternative thought this week, and it's still kind of relevant to the independent study assembly thing. Is that I want to discuss the biblical versus modern locations, places such as the Garden of Eden. Where is the Holy Land on the map? How do these things work? as far as the tectonic plates, that the land just all moved super far away from each other. Like, where was the first people? Like, where would they have been on our map today? And if they did change all these locations, like some people believe, how could they have done that?
Let me start it
There's
like
too many people who
this.
saw it or knew where it was. So how could they just change the location?
Let me ask y'all
Who's
this.
everyone?
First of all, because a lot of people always ask us, why is it important to know these things?
Why does it matter?
Why does it matter?
Uh-huh.
Why doesn't it matter? You know, so why does it matter? Why is it important for us to understand these things?
I mean, I just don't want to try to get off a boat over there in the state of Israel and be like, I made it to the Holy Land, and then learn that like this is not where it's really at, and I'm in the wrong place, and like I don't know, like I need to know where it's really at. If I'm gonna fight the fight, I need to make sure I'm fighting for the right thing.
Yeah. Okay. I feel that.
I mean, like, I think it matters because
Doesn't your relationship with Jesus just matter? Doesn't it just Jesus and Jesus and
I wanna,
Just Jesus and
if,
Jesus.
if I'm gonna be paying for a trip to go see where my Messiah walked and lived, I need to know where it
Yeah,
was.
the right
exactly.
place,
I
yeah.
gotta know the right place, and also like even the Old Testament, like prophets and stuff like that, like understanding like where they may have gone through, like where is ancient Babylon, or where is Jerusalem, or where is the Garden of Eden? Like these are questions that I want to make sure that I have down pat, and also looking at the Bible as God's living word, seeing what prophecy is going on here and here, so that I can be like, okay, like this is what's gonna be coming. So I think that's why it's important.
But I want to start by saying that I do think that some of the locations that are modern locations are biblical locations. I just find it really, really difficult to think that they have put up all these markers and these historical sites, and they're doing tours, and people are traveling places just to come see these things, and none of it's real.
I just want you to realize though that
Like, who put this sign up? Who created this tour?
I just want you to realize how 400 years is a long time. For people to be sold and war to be happening, you can do the switcheroo and do a lot of like things like that within
But then it's like
hundreds of years.
For example, if you're like, I want to visit, because I think you can actually visit Calvary, like where the Messiah was crucified. It's a place, there's a marker, and people. So someone was like, you know
In
what?
the Middle East?
You see, yeah.
Okay.
So you think that someone saw a freaking anthill and was like, put a marker here.
See,
We're gonna say
but I
this is
just came
Calvary.
across an Ethiopian person that said that it's in Ethiopia, and Ethiopians take a 3-day fasted walk to get to that area.
Really?
So then, but what are they walking to? At some point, somebody has made, like, someone has just put a sign wherever 2 dirt roads cross, and we're like, this is it. I was reading, what was I reading? I think I was reading in Exodus. It was a place that Abraham marked because of an experience he had with an angel.
Abraham or Jacob? Was it Jacob's ladder?
Jacob's ladder.
Jacob. Okay, Jacob. So he named the place Peniel.
Peniel, yes.
Peniel, because I've seen Elohim face to face.
So he put something there and like was like, this is the place.
Mhm.
I would think that. I just don't know. Does that place still exist? Is it marked?
Of course it still exists.
Is it still marked?
Look, again,
Or did
for
they
me,
recreate it?
I don't like to throw opinions. I like to just go to sources and old books, which I'll put on the screen for you guys.
Okay.
I think I've shared this source before. Africana, the Encyclopedia of African and African American Experience. This is in the University of Pennsylvania Franklin's Library, by the way.
Not accredited.
Not
I'm joking.
not accredited.
Brandon's like, no, yes it is.
The slaves themselves were God's people. Israel, Moses was a leader and deliverer. Egypt or Babylon represented the south, and hell, the deep south. Pharaoh was a slave owner. The river Jordan was the Ohio River, or similar body of water, between the north and south. The Red Sea, or Reed, R-E-E-D-C, because Egypt was known as the land of reeds. That red and reed is really a typo, but anyways.
The Reed Sea, or Red Sea, was the Atlantic Ocean. Home, now think of Pangea when you think of that, right? When the continents were closer together.
Right.
Home, or Canaan, camp meeting, or promised land, or Africa. The Free States, Canada, or Liberia. Any agency of travel or movement, train, shoes, chariots, wheels, spoke of escape. So there's just a source, not Brandon's words. This is a Craig College source. I have a CIA source that talks about the Israel and the people.
A CIA source.
Yeah.
Is that the one that's been on podcast? That guy? Or no?
Huh?
Is it the one that is XCI that's been on podcast or no?
Rothschild. Why can't I spell
I
Rothschild?
put his name out there.
Right.
But no, say that one more time. I'm sorry.
He's saying, has he been on like podcast tours? He's been talking about this stuff publicly.
Who?
Your CIA source.
No, I'm saying this is on CIA.gov.
Okay.
Oh.
This is on their government website.
So then
All right. The Rothschilds, CIA.gov library, by the way.
Okay.
The Rothschilds buy all of Erez Israel.
They did.
They
yes.
bought the land.
They did. Yes, that's
of
correct.
It took many years for the Rothschilds to finally create Israel. ISIS Ra'el, by the way. But anyways, the Rothschilds have been a primary force behind the creation of Israel. And it is appropriate the nation carries a magical seal of Solomon as the state logo, not Star of David, because it was never a star for David. But anyways, the ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel would not serve an Israeli army because they know that Almighty God was not behind the creation of modern Israel, but rather rich and godly apostate Jews. I could keep going.
No.
So
I do think that there's validity to questioning the location of the state of Israel versus the Holy Land.
Yeah.
That I think that it is valid. However, when
we
it
talk
goes
about
into
biblical location versus modern location. So
biblical
I'm talking
versus
about
modern,
that.
Like the
Yeah.
current Israel is not Israel.
Yeah, ancient Yashra, or
it's-
Israel,
I can see
whatever
that.
you say.
but the description of where the Euphrates River meets the Nile River, like the description of these rivers and things, like they are that is proven. They do exist there. So are we suggesting that there's another
No.
Nile?
So I have a
another
map.
Euphrates?
I have a map that shows the Euphrates River in Nigeria in
So
1700s.
are we suggesting that the Euphrates River simply is
Nigeria.
capable of reaching North Africa all the way to?
Well, what
Nigeria.
I'm saying is that it's very easy to rename rivers and lakes, right? You can build canals. You can cut off rivers. You can merge, bodies of water.
Mhm.
And so what I'm saying is,
Right,
if you
the
have
water,
in older maps of Africa, you actually you have these four rivers actually being shown. And I believe I actually have the map in my phone. It's basically of the location of the Garden of Eden, and it shows how all these rivers flow right out of the tip of South Africa, all the way up into North Africa. I'm gonna put the map on here because I know that I have it.
I have seen that map. I think there is
Actually,
there is
Larry
validity.
Johnson likes to post that map a lot too.
Yes, he does. That's why I've seen it. There's validity to things that you're saying. I do believe that some locations and things have been changed. However, the prophecy does still stand, and we all have access to what's in the Word. That it's not a secret. You can't change what's in the Word. So when it says that the Holy Land would be overrun by basically the sort of imposters or Gentiles, whatever they want to call it, that really does is happening.
Yeah,
In
but it's also
the
happening.
area.
But
It's
South
happening.
Africa too,
Yeah.
because South Africa is definitely heavily what they call Afrikaners, for the Europeans populated. It's definitely not even really considered like all of the other Africa no more, for real. It's so overrun. So to be honest, South Africa also fits that prophecy. Not only that, but the word also said, I will make Israel a heap of Dagons or jackals, right? Now, statistically, and I'm going to put this map up here too, Here's one of the maps that show those four rivers, and I can find it. I have others though. So when you look at where are jackals, right? Basically in the world.
Jackals, those are like cantaloupes. They're like cantaloupes.
Nah, they're not. They're not like cantaloupes.
Wait, what is this?
Are they called jackalopes?
These are the antlers, right?
Oh.
They're like deer.
It's not cantaloupes.
Look, you can only find jackals.
Antelope.
Look,
Antelope.
jackal location, east in South Africa.
So my next question is: say you're
And
right
this
about all
map
these things.
shows Jerusalem in
Say
South
you-
Africa, by the way.
Say this is all correct and you're completely 1,000%.
Mhm.
You mean to tell me that people are fighting over the fake Holy Land and the real Holy Land no one cares about wants or is fighting over whatsoever?
What I'm saying
If
is
it had
the
value,
elite. What I'm
people would be
saying.
doing everything to
What
get
I'm
it.
saying, the elites know. They know. The
But no
common
one
people
is
don't.
fighting for this unknown territory that should be the Holy Land. In
Yeah.
theory, it's so valuable
But
that
the-
people should want it.
But how about this?
It's already in
They've been
control.
looting Israel this entire time. We just talked about Congo.
As far as the location.
Yeah, but we got to think about how. See, here's one thing I've been considering. Israel might have been a way bigger location than what we even realized. Like, it might have taken up more of Africa than we realized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
And so, if we're looking at a map that shows the Congo, and this is the land of the Jews, if we have maps that show Israel and Ethiopia, which I have, if we have maps that show Jerusalem and South Africa, are some of them are correct, or did Israel actually take up such a big location at one point in Africa? And
you
so
gotta think about how many people came out of Egypt.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And so, it's a thing where, and you already know where I think Egypt is, but so you got to think.
South Africa.
Egypt?
Is that what you think?
No, we live in the land of Egypt.
No.
That's okay. Hey, look, no.
Maybe spiritually, but not physically.
I
mean,
think
tell
You
you.
think that everything, that physical Egypt is
you
here?
don't think Egypt could be more
How?
like, if anything, like not the Egypt that is, but like maybe
Europe,
Europe,
somewhere near, not
Let me-
just on the
yeah,
other side.
let me-
It's like saying Egypt is in China.
Let me know.
So when did Pangea happen for you?
All right, look. Let me
Yesterday.
look. I want y'all to take y'all look. All right, take this ride with me. For one, do we know what language the word Egypt is?
English.
No.
That's your question.
German?
No, it's not a trick
You
question.
do not think it's German.
It's Greek.
Okay.
Greek. Greece is what we get a term
Name.
Egypt. That's what they called the land. So if the Greeks called Egypt, is that the real name that Egyptians use for their own land and themselves and their language?
No.
Okay, so I have about a good 4 to 5 sources here for you, which I'll be sharing on this. Encyclopedia of the Bible. Names of Egypt. The ancient Egyptians had several hands for their homeland. Kemet, the black land, as opposed to the desert or red land. Tawi, the two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt. And Tamari, a term of uncertain meaning. Tamara.org. They during a meditation at a spring on the land, the name Tamara comes to Sabine. They later learned that this was the ancient Egyptian word for the land of water and a name used for the land of Egypt itself. ThoughtsCo.com. Kemet first made its appearance around 11th dynasty, around the same time as another term, the term beloved land, Tamari. Here's some Egyptian hieroglyphs that show the name Tamara. Museum. Egypt was called by its people Tamari. Museum.agropolis whatever. Egypt was called by its people Tamari, meaning the beloved land which is cultivated by this fertile soil. Kemet, meaning black soil. Now, if you Google Maps, you can only find places called Tamaria in America, not actual Africa. So that's one right there. But if we want to look at,
inspired, the names
no,
were inspired.
okay, I'm look, just walk with me. Now, if we want to talk about maps of ancient Tamaria, not Egypt,
Okay.
because that's a Greek name, but ancient Tamaria. Well, here is a old map of ancient Temeria, which I'll be showing on here. This is going to be a long video to edit. What does this look like? I just want you to tell me what it looks like.
We see that it's
I see the
Florida,
panhandle.
It's the bottom of the United States.
And what does this say? Tamaracans, go West Van, Florida.
So you're Tamaracan.
Tamaracan. So basically, so Egyptians.
Oh,
Stop. I'm Georgia, born and raised. I lived in Florida for 5 years. So Egypt was called Tamaria, and they called themselves Tamaracans. Not only that, but the Egyptian godheads, right? The animals they used, right? Well, you should question, where did those animals actually come from? Are they indigenous to Africa?
This isn't answering though exactly
No,
what
no,
I asked.
no, no,
Because
no,
what I
no, no.
asked was,
What?
I said that I believe that this is spiritually Egypt, and it was thus inspired by Egypt. They said
I
we're
used
going
to
to
believe-
build a third Babylon. We're
I
going to make
u-
another one. That's what they're going to do. Just
Look.
like Babylon isn't
How
physically
do you spell
Egypt.
America?
Isn't it was
Oh, I can't
inspired by that.
I
So that's-
used to believe that everything you saying. I used to believe, oh, this is just spiritual Egypt, but no. Again, the Egyptian godheads, the gods like the falcon, right?
right.
This is the American falcon,
The bald eagle.
only found in America. Not the bald eagle, the American
So you're saying
falcon.
that because
This god,
that animal
this
is native
Egypt-
to this place.
Right now, Quetzalcoatl, the dog-head god.
Yeah.
The Mexican hairless dog, only found in Mexico.
Hmm.
Oh, let's talk about pyramids. How many pyramids are in ancient Egypt? According to ancient-code.com, there's only 120 pyramids in ancient Egypt. In Central America alone, there's over 1,000. Oh, from Canada to South America, there's over 4,000 pyramids. And
Where
I
are
want you
they?
to look into the Grand Canyon.
Where are they?
You have some in Georgia.
But
You-
where? Because people,
I
there are
wa-
people who are truck drivers,
Look.
people who literally have driven across
Look,
country.
we're talking
They
about.
would have to run into some pyramids.
Look.
If there's 4,000
We
of them,
can do the whole where are they? We're on a podcast, so it can't go into every single facet of rabbit hole.
Okay.
But do that research for yourself.
Okay.
There's over 4,000 pyramids on this side of the world. There's pyramids literally all over the world, but there's more on this side.
So why are only the pyramids in physical Egypt the only ones that are famous? Wouldn't we run across pyramids if they were here in Georgia? You would have seen them.
Not necessarily. You can build roads in a way where they don't come across those places. And mind you got to think about petrified.
Why would they want
Pyramid.
to do that? What would be the motivation?
Would be the motivation.
Yes.
The same way you tell us that we live in an infinite universe with infinite planets and infinite.
Yeah.
If we can make today's reality contradict the Bible in every single way in science and anthropology and blah blah blah, this is going to discredit the word and people won't believe in the Bible and the
It's
Messiah.
Just, but what we're
And so
suggesting
what
is
I'm
so
saying
much
is-
work went into changing the names and places and hiding
Yes.
pyramids and building road structures around them and telling us we're in one place but we're really in another. And people are fighting over the fake Holy Land, but nobody knows where the real Holy Land is. That's just so much work to
It
deceive
is.
people.
It is.
It's more work than just actually
And
running.
why
the
wouldn't
government.
Satan go to that kind of lengths? Why would Hashatan not? Come on. I mean, I know it's a lot and it's overwhelming.
Yes, it is
But the
overwhelming.
fact that Deuteronomy 28 literally ends on, which there's a bunch of versions which take out the last 4 verses of Deuteronomy 28, and the very last one says, "You will be sold to back to the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt, where nobody should buy you for bondmen and bondwomen." It ends on that. And so what I'm saying is, if you can make people, first of all, we gotta understand that black people are all over the world. Yes, Africa's a birthplace, but it's all over the world.
Yeah,
So we're talking about when the Bible's talking about everything. No, it's talking about everywhere. Not just everything happening in Africa and Europe. America's in there as well, just by different names that we don't realize. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of work going into changing maps and changing this and changing that.
That would make the natives here that are called Indians, natives, that would make them native Egyptians.
Except we gotta remember in 4th Ezra chapter 13, it talks about the Israelites that were exiled by Assyria and traveled to a land called Arzareth. I've talked about this, and I'll put the on here. But Jewish Encyclopedia shows that Christopher Columbus saw America as this land Arzareth, which the Bible, 4th Ezra 13, has the name Arzareth in it.
Okay.
Christopher Columbus, using the Bible to find slaves because they were looking for Israelites, said America is the biblical Arzareth. So yes, there were natives, quote unquote, here that have been here for a long time. But some of the natives, you're talking about Cherokee, Mohawk, Sioux, some of these actually have Israelite traditions still in their bloodline. So not all of them, but some. I've been in the rabbit hole, man. I know it's a lot.
It's a good rabbit hole. The next thing is something I've always wondered, even before ever going and being in the truth or knowing like some things of the Bible. I was like, how were they physically walking these places? So when I learned that the theory about how the Hebrews got into Africa is that they came through Arabia, that suggests that one, the Holy Land is where they say it is, and two, it suggests that they were able to. People cannot walk. You cannot walk by foot from modern day Middle East to West Africa.
We're fat.
Can we do?
We're
can
fat.
Do that?
Today we are fat. Our food is unhealthy. We have chemtrails.
Do you understand how
do we
is?
really think we have the same able body? The strongest bodybuilder today.
That's like walking twice from New York to LA.
Okay, but understand.
Like double that. New York to
but
LA
you
double.
gotta understand.
With kids and animals and carrying stuff? That is physically impossible.
Look, she and her question bag for real. We are not the same human that our ancestors was before. Mind you, I do believe that a lot of technology that we had today that they had before and even more advanced. I believe we've actually digressed as a society when it comes to our technology and how we have society set up.
But what about the Marranos and the Hebrews that went into parts of Spain and things like that? They were far enough north to be able to move into parts of Europe and places like that, and then Arabia. Based on your theory, if they're coming from South Africa, they wouldn't have made it all the way up into Europe.
They had ships.
They wouldn't have made it to Spain.
Yeah, like Israel was a seafaring people. The Marranos, I feel like I've actually heard people credit the Marranos. I'm trying to remember.
They were like forcefully converted.
Yeah, I've heard people.
But they maintained their Hebrew faith and they lived in Spain.
I've heard people say that a lot of them were tribe of Benjamin. Tribe of Benjamin was known as to be one of the seafaring tribes of Israel. Mm-hmm. So I mean, again, these rabbit to like. I know it'd be a lot, right? Like, like the Garden of Eden, like South Africa, just like, it's just, I know it's a lot, but it's a thing where I feel like there's so many facets of research to be done to really confirm a lot of these stuff. And nobody can believe anything that's said here, right? But at the end of the day, you got to do your own research. Mm-hmm. Right. This is why, at least when I talk, I always provide a resource and say, this isn't Brandon's word. This is this source that's accredited and used by scholars and what they say. Yeah. Stuff that is hidden from the Rothschild funded education system.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a topic.
Or Rockefeller, one of those two.
Like, it's a super interesting topic. I feel like it'd be fun to research into kind of in your free time and getting to know it. But we know it's not a salvation matter.
Oh,
even if we never find the truth, even if we never ever find it out.
It's not. I do think that it's a survival matter. Not a salvation, but it's a survival matter.
Come out, so you're suggesting that where the Garden of Eden is where the Holy Land is nearly that.
Basically, what I've come in my
what's going to happen?
Basically, what I've come in my studies where the Garden of Eden was, right? In the book of Japheth himself says, which I can put it on here too, in 2540 BC, said that the ark with him and Noah landed in the same area the Garden of Eden was. And I've come across another source that said where the Messiah was born was in the same place where Adam was created. So it's like the Most High used kind of the same area for the biggest events that ever happened. Garden of Eden, the landing of the ark, the establishing location of Israel. That's what I found in my personal studies. And I can provide them all.
Study and show yourself approved.
Yeah, because you've got these screenshot things where it's like you've got like 6 of them on one page, and I'm just like, when did you create all these and how?
Yeah.
This is like really
Like a
because
pic collage.
you
yeah.
like a pic collage of like sources all the time for every topic under the sun, and it's like, when did you create all these? Like seriously.
And those
Is
are
that
just
independent
collages.
Look,
Those are just collages. See that number?
You have
924.
924, and then there's like 4 on a page, so really. Like you've got like
Yeah.
$4,000.
That's not even my
images.
bookmarks.
Oh, my
and then my iBooks library. And then my Scrib account.
It just like, can't be found.
Look,
Quantified.
Most High. If I am supposed to be a seer or a scribe, just let me know. Please set me up to walk into that.
Anything but a pastor.
Anything but. I don't want to be responsible over people.
Yeah.
It's
You gotta be responsible for writing down the right, accurate stuff. You know?
Yes, you do.
That would be.
You do, and I'm willing to do the research to make sure I do.
Okay.
I really want to be going to anthropology, like get on YouTube, travel places, show people
It
where
would be
I've been.
so dope. It
Right.
would really fulfilling career.
Well, going to First African Baptist Church, that was literally like an anthropology
Yeah.
like trip.
Yeah.
Like we got to see Hebrew on
Right.
written.
On pews.
We got to look at the same wood that was used for the Ark of the Covenant and the Ark,
Mm-hmm.
the hardest wood in the world.
Yeah, no, that was amazing.
Wish I could have gone.
Next time.
Next time. For sure.
At least you can say I have friends that went. You
Yeah.
know,
They've seen it.
I saw it on video.
here's the photos.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess maybe do some financial news before we wrap.
Yeah. We went a little longer than we was going to, but these are
Yeah.
some good topics
Passionate
today.
topics.
These are good rabbit holes. Financial news, yada yada yada. Political crimes, guys. Listen, everything that you see on the media is just distraction, and it's either distraction or it is part of an what is the right word here? You know, the elites.
Psyop.
The elites, they have these rituals that individuals have to do, and that's kind of what's being played out in the media, whether it's with Hunter Biden, whether it's with Trump and his.
So you don't think they're really in trouble for this stuff?
I mean, yeah, they could be, but you know, it's
Hunter
like,
Biden really had coke in the White House.
oh yeah, I know. Okay, Hunter Biden. I don't think that this is more of a ritual. I think this is just exposing.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I saw like this, like a 70-page journal of all of his like nefarious affairs with the prostitutes, with the Chinese, with like just sexual stuff. Is just terrible. But it's like it's a lot of what's the right word? Embezzling, maybe, you know, moving money into the wrong places. They're just using up our taxpayer money. So, and you got Nancy Pelosi, who's you know, one of the greatest Nancy Pelosi. You are the greatest financial trader of our times.
You are
literally the
you
greatest.
never miss.
You don't miss. I'm proud of you. Okay.
I'm jealous of her.
I know. I'm like, dang, your husband be making all the right trades at the right time. It's crazy though, because that's insider trading. But you know, when you write the laws, you're kind of above the laws, sort of say. But you know, there is a law that is greater than anything that us as men can make, which is the Most High's. And we're all going to face that judgment day.
What I want, like, what my curiosity is, like, we went from the president being a sort of prestigious, you know, place in society, and everyone sort of respects that role, to like one person runs for presidency. Now they have all these scandals. Next person runs. You were doing business with Russia. You were doing insider trading. You were stealing. It's like, are they just out? All the politicians together just doing a whole bunch of political, financial crime and fraud?
Yeah.
And then they run for office and then tell on each other?
It's just someone else's turn to basically be the puppet, you know, basically, because you got to think about who's funding. The funders of both sides are, you know, a certain family, and like they are just they're running the show. They're running the show behind the scenes. Literally, we're at the point to where are we at? We're about 200, 300 years off from the United States actually being created. And you guys remember the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
Oh, that thing that I always sat down and got in trouble for not actually saying.
Yeah. It's like, you got to think about the words in the Pledge of Allegiance. There's something about a republic. I don't even remember how to say it.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States.
flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it
it
stands.
stands. Yeah.
What's the republic? The UK. Who's the UK connected to? The Rothschilds.
Yeah.
Who
Who are the Rothschilds? They
Bloodlines.
claim to be Jewish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's just interesting. But America is doing its thing. I'm American.
What did they accuse Trump of doing? In short, I never could get to the bottom of it. And like when I watch news and stuff, I try to read between the lines or something, and I couldn't come up with anything. I'm like, what did they say that he did? They said that he was hiding classified documents. What is the crime?
Yeah.
Like, what is the exact crime?
I don't know.
Did he steal? Did he lie? Did he cheat?
No, he just basically should not have taken those documents, I believe, or showed them to certain.
But they've
people,
never said what was in the document. It's like,
Yeah.
what did he sell them? Did he make money from this?
I don't think so, no.
They're just super always, when it comes to these political crimes, I feel like they're always super unclear as to what the person is guilty of or if they ever get charged. Like they said this about Nancy
Treason,
Pelosi,
maybe?
and then she just never got in trouble or anything. She kept her job.
Yeah, well, when you write the laws, you're above the law.
Don't let me go out here speeding, and without a seatbelt on.
Shoot. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, yeah, man. It's a play. It's all a play, and honestly, I don't have too much to say on this topic, but don't when you see these people in court, just don't get your hopes up on somebody actually getting in trouble, going to jail. I mean,
Don't give it too much of your attention either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just junk. Like
Yeah.
they even had Dr. Fauci like in court and stuff for the like come on, bro. This
And hearings, he's not about to.
I feel like he's not even a doctor. Like, has he ever practiced medicine on any patient?
Yeah, like the defendant be amazing and the judge be amazing.
Yeah.
Like, bruh.
Like we already talked about this at the lodge, okay?
Yeah,
you're
just-
good and off.
You're
good.
You know, slap on the wrist,
Just
$250,000.
give him a good show.
Just look sad.
Yeah.
Give him a
Everyone
good
over
show.
there crying,
Yeah.
and then oh, he got off.
Will I see you at the Goat Baphomet riding
Yeah.
event later on?
What do they call that place? Where they go off in the woods.
The owl.
The owl, yeah.
Oh, Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove,
Yeah,
yeah.
I see it. Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, you can easily like Google Maps that and even look at the statue. Like, yeah.
Lord
Close your
have
eyes.
mercy.
Don't look at that statue.
Yeah.
No, at least not for too long.
Not for too long. But it's all leading towards the World Economic Forum shipping us all so we can buy and sell the mark of the beast.
And we will talk more about that on our next episode
We
of
definitely
Kingdom
will.
OutKasts Podcast.
Yeah. If you listen up to this point, we thank you.
Yes, thank
We
you.
know we got long-winded today, but it was a lot of good conversation. I learned a few
Mhm.
things. I got to argue with Brandon.
Yeah, she was trying to
Yeah.
get spicy, bro.
Yeah.
Because you're like, look at this map and look at this, look at that. And I'm like, yeah, but why would they do that? Like,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Look,
It's
Coming out it's a information overload with a lot of these topics. Like for
Mhm.
real, like I really had to take my time and I literally sit in meditation. Like, bro, this is my reality. This is like what's going on. Like
it's a lot.
I've had so many just moments where my soul is like, bro, like, what is life? What is earth? What is true? What's real? Like, everything is just being torn down. You know?
Honestly,
The Matrix.
It takes a lot to receive that. And I'm glad that you were able to provide sources,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
communicate this stuff, because I'm like, my mind's getting blown, so I'm like, let me just not speak and just listen.
I'm just like, maybe
and just
we need to tell some Israelites out here who have this big plan to relocate to the Holy Land. We don't want them relocating to the wrong place, so we better get real specific on where we're going.
Yeah.
Look, man. I don't know. Some of these people are just gonna let them do what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Some of these brews.
Some people just gonna stay here.
I've been
I'm
blocked.
like,
I've been
"Who's
blocked.
staying?"
I've been blocked by like so many brews on Instagram, bro. Like well-known brews too, just for trying to correct them a little bit.
One day I want to talk about why do Hebrew men argue so much. I've never seen this kind of arguing in my life. Like, y'all never stop. It's just always arguing. It's always the men, and it's just a
You have to
thing.
study to show yourself approved, man.
I've studied more than you.
The
No,
problem
I've
is,
studied
the
more.
problem is
I'm
they
just like
study.
Muslim
they-
men are getting together, just blatantly
The
arguing.
problem is that
It
they
is a sense of
study.
sharpening,
The
though.
problem is there is iron sharpen iron.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they study to show themselves approved to people,
Okay.
not to
Most High.
the Most High. Like I've been through that arguing stage, like just arguing wanting to prove something all the time.
Yeah.
And this point, I don't care. Like I don't care. Like okay, we can disagree, whatever. I don't even care about bringing up the sources and all that. Like sometimes it's just a kind of wisdom. I feel like you start to accrue. Like, but I was definitely spicy some of these past couple of years for a while.
Yeah.
But I've kind of
you're still blocked, I guess, by some people for that.
Oh, of course, yeah. Like some popular brews. You got one brew who got a whole Netflix thing. He's talking about health and all this stuff, and you know he be wearing the hand chain. Yes, he blocked me.
He wears the hand chain, like the 5 fingers.
Yeah.
With the eyeball on it.
Yeah, he considers himself. At one point, he was talking about who we were, but now he's got to be really niche because now he has his Netflix deal. And he might have compromised some. I don't know. Hopefully he didn't, bro. But just know it's all love here. But I peeped how you didn't want to be shamed, but in front of your followers on your post.
How dare
No
he
one wants
comment
to.
on that?
That's what y'all be trying to shame people in front of.
No, people. No, the thing is, people want to be looked at as I'm the leader, follow the leader.
Right.
People want to be a leader, and it's the thing. Like, bro, I feel like real leaders don't really want to be a leader. To be honest, like they get put in that position, or people put them in that position. But some people don't. Some people want the audience.
Yeah.
And the praise, and it validates them.
Mm.
And I kind of see that in a lot of our brothers. They still want to be validated. They don't realize they daddy is all their validation.
And so that's why I know half of them are not in assemblies because they couldn't even follow a leader. They know how to act.
And Bishop was talking about how
those independent studiers out there.
And Bishop was talking about how he's had brews, all type of brews, try to come and impose things like polygamy and this and that, and he's like, nah. Yeah, like he'll get real protective.
They'll march off and they'll leave and they won't even come back. So it's like, were you serious about wanting to be a part of this assembly, or did you just want to like mix stuff up?
People want to be a part of something that fits them. They don't want to kind of like fit that mold, or like. I still don't even feel like I fit into the mold of anything. Like I really just chew meat, spit out the bones.
You're a true Kingdom outcast.
I am. I wear it proudly. It is what it is.
Me too. That's why I go to 3 different churches at all times.
Yeah, I hear that.
Just joking.
All right.
I'm the last Kingdom outcast.
Kingdom Christian Outcast.
Kingdom Christian outcast show. I won't tell y'all what he said about wearing fringes.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to get on to that.
Oh my gosh.
On the next episode.
Oh boy, you about to have these folks come down heavy.
Come for me, okay?
Look, hey, and you got to use those cuts as the Instagram,
Oh,
Facebook
yeah.
posts.
Yeah.
The Facebook posts.
He said it. He said it.
I forgot about Facebook.
Yeah, as long as Instagram posts to Facebook, then we're good.
Right.
It was a real conversation today.
I mean,
that's like automating.
I think we can get more engaging with the audience in certain ways, but we're gonna talk about that stuff off air.
Well, y'all, it's been real. To our viewers, thank you for listening for the length of time that you listen to. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Do what you do. We appreciate you always. And until next episode.
Shalom.
Much love, shalom,
Peace.
deuces. Oh.